Whatever you want.
Okay.
Yes.
Let's everyone take a look at the agenda. Is there anything anybody needs to add to the agenda?
If we could add proposed meeting schedule, that would be great.
Okay, meeting schedule, sure.
To where?
Between the director's report and the tourism board.
Okay.
All right, anything else we need to add to the agenda? All right, let's take a look at is there a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Approval of the minutes.
So we have July and September and November, these last two meetings, we did not have a
We've not had a quorum the last couple of meetings, that's correct. Because we were so little short. Is there a motion to approve all three sets of minutes?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, motion.
Second.
Second, okay. Any discussion on the minutes? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
I'm sorry, Deborah, was that you that made this?
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry. Recognition of the public. Terry, do you want to say anything since you're here? You're the public?
No.
Okay.
Thank you for asking. Good time.
Okay, close recognition of the public. Finance report.
Alrighty, so our income for July through December was $371,656.65, and our expenses were $300,332,378.06. That'll really mess you up there.
Lots of threes.
Our checking account balance is $272,419.44, and our budget is on target. And just for those of you who are new, most of our major expenses come in towards the end of the year with sports tournaments, our heritage marketing grants that we do with our historic sites, and then miscellaneous events, and then the printing of our travel guide. So those things will come in the coming months.
Anybody have any questions?
Yeah, on average per year, like what percentage of the expenses are administrative costs? Because for this, 43% seems pretty high.
So administrative costs,
Looking at other things, it's just
that like includes a lot of our payroll and occupying the home. No, not occupying the home, but I mean a percentage. I couldn't give you exact off the top of my head percentage, but a lot of our costs are administrative. Kelly, you could probably help me out with that. Just a little bit.
It's basically payroll, insurance, pension.
Mhm.
okay. Yeah, I would just like to see like what is our plan, like long-term plan, because administrative costs for using tax dollars, like administrative costs shouldn't be half of what you do. That just seems extremely high. So I just like to see what does that breakdown look like? What does it look
Yeah,
like
I'd be
in the
happy to
past?
send you our budget that we had approved.
Okay.
I'd be happy to send that to you.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay. Next.
I had a question on the sponsorships.
Yeah.
Going forward, could we get a little more detail as to where that money is going?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd be happy to share sponsorships with you all, and that's actually something that I do want to talk about with everybody, and we'll get there. And once we get to my director's report.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I would just, to me, I feel like marketing expenses should be the primary expenses
Right.
here, not administrative. So
Right.
that I'm
Oh, you have how many
concerned
people?
about that.
So right now we have 5 full-time people, because we also operate the Douglas Clark House.
Mhm.
So we have a full-time member there.
Right, where does that show up here in the P&L? Because that's paid for by a grant, not from occupancy taxes.
No, that's paid for the Douglas Clark House.
Mhm.
That comes out of our operating budget.
Okay,
So anything that we need at the Douglas Clark House comes out of our operating budget.
okay, so it's just the employee only that's paid for by a grant?
No.
Would it-
No, I think that was renovations to
The grant was a number of years ago, and in order to get the grant, we had to agree to have a full-time employee.
Mhm.
Okay,
But that grant was for renovations and that
got it, okay, the grant was for
had
renovations.
nothing to do with there was a requirement that we have a full-time employee, but the grant was for renovations.
Okay,
Yes, so his salary comes out of our budget,
Hmm.
and anything that he needs at the office supplies, anything, that comes out of our regular budget.
okay.
When that
thank you.
grant's been funded, you're not still receiving funds from that grant?
No, and I
That
don't,
was
yeah.
That was several years
a
ago.
number of years ago,
Yeah.
yes.
Does the county own that building?
Mhm.
Did not think they did.
Mhm. It's county-owned building. Mhm. All right. Any other questions? All right. Next, occupancy tax. So if you look here, we are $22,000 ahead of where we were last year. It went down significantly for the month of December. And just, I'll get to that too in a moment, but just to let the new people know, so December is actually the numbers for November. So what was collected in November will show up for December and so on and so forth.
And that's the same across the board, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes.
So either way, whatever December is, we're comparing apples to apples.
Mhm.
Okay, thank you.
Any questions on occupancy tax?
It's funny how sometimes, some months it's 30,000 and good, and sometimes it's not really good.
Yeah, I have answers to that, so.
Okay,
Well, it has to do with-
so you'll go into
It
detail on
has to do
some
with
of
weather
these
conditions
things?
and things like, a
Yeah.
lot of things like
Okay.
that.
Yeah.
And if I have questions about historical comparison, you'll be able to answer those?
The-
Can I ask a question about the Douglas house? I'm on the self-insurance board at the county,
Uh-huh.
and I didn't realize we owned the Douglas house. I just want to make sure that we're insuring it properly. Do you know? I mean, I have that meeting tomorrow, and I'm sorry to interrupt, but since that meeting's tomorrow and this is on your table,
I mean,
how's it
That
insured?
insurance is carried by the county, not by us. We have insurance for the
Right.
facility that we're in.
Okay, I'm on that board.
But we do not.
So tomorrow, I'm gonna make sure.
Okay.
I mean, we had that 3 weeks that we didn't have the insurance on the $100 million courthouse.
Right. the
So now I'm
county-
just worried about insurance
The
everywhere.
county pays the insurance, the utilities,
I'll check on it, thank you.
mhm.
Sorry to interrupt.
no problem.
And off the top, since we're talking about that, off the top of your head, how much longer do we have to have that full-time employee? How many more years is it?
That is a question that I would love to know the answer to. I have not been able to find the grant requirements for that. That's something I'm looking into currently, but I would love to know the answer to that question.
Would Kim
Because that-
Norfleet be the answer? Would she have that
Potentially.
in that office?
Potentially.
Or David Long?
Or David?
Yeah. It's just kind of one of those things, like, you know, it got put on tourism, so we've just followed through with that, but.
Got it.
It is it's a big
Was that,
expense.
was that before this board was formed? Baker, was that with the old board?
Well, that was the previous board.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think, because we had a county commission there one evening, and Paige Brown was still on the commission, so that was before she was elected mayor. So we're talking 2012, 2013.
So it's possible we may only have a couple more years, because I know somewhere, somebody told me it was 15 years for a
I feel like
full-time
we've talked
employee.
about that.
Yeah,
I
and
feel
is the
like-
requirement to have a full-time employee, or is the requirement that somebody is at the building for 8 hours a day, 5
I
days
know
a week?
that-
Like,
I
what
know
is the
that it-
specific language? Because if the answer is we're required to have a full-time employee, that's one thing, but if it's like
Right.
we're required to have people there, then we don't actually have to have a person. You can
Right.
just trade off having people that
Right.
are already on staff there.
Right. So I know that it has to be 5 days a week, and one of the days has to be a weekend. So I
Mhm.
do know that that is for sure. I'm not sure the specific language, but I'm definitely interested in looking into that. So.
Okay, yeah,
And
it would be
I'll-
good to see that.
I'll try to find that as soon as possible, and I'll
Sure.
share that with everybody, because I've been curious myself. So, let's see here. All right. Any other questions? Alrighty. So, now on to our director's report. You can kind of see here our analytics. I won't go super down into it, but we're doing really good on Facebook, you know, and this is from November, since our last meeting. And now we've reached 92,000 people on Facebook, which is awesome. Our main demographic is on Facebook, so to have that on Facebook is great. Our Instagram reach is going out significantly, and then our website traffic is 11,000 people, so
Sure.
that's great. But we're also are running ads on Facebook right now, which is why our reach is so high right now, so that means it's working, so that's good.
Yeah, so do we have like targets for any of these? Like, this reach is good, but if our target was like 113,000 and we only hit 92,000, that's not great,
Yeah,
right?
so this has only been running for about less than a week.
Okay.
So I could give you more details if I have my computer in front of me with like what the target is there.
Yeah, I mean, outside of this, if you want to just spend some time with me, just walking through
Yeah.
what is the goal, what is
Yeah.
the target, and what are we expecting to get out of these things? That would
Yeah.
be super helpful.
Yeah,
for
so
me.
this is, the ads that are running right now are for events, so we're looking for a lot of event attraction. So, yeah, I'd be happy to answer that for you.
Okay.
So, ABA Marketplace and sales show. So, within our budget, we had talked about having an ABA fam tour. So, ABA is where we go and we meet with group tour operators in hopes that they'll bring their group tours to Sumner County. So we had it was in Nashville this past year, so we had the opportunity
Sorry.
to host a fam tour. So we had group tour operators come and stay in Sumner County, and we took them around and showed them all the things that they could do. It was amazing. They had such an amazing time, and we had a lot of success come from that. We had a couple group tour operators for their groups currently that are adding days to their trip just to come to Sumner County, which is a huge success.
Yes.
But for the new people that we met, they book a year out, so they're going to start booking for 2025. So our sales manager is working on itineraries, and she met with all of them and took their notes and what they wanted to see and what their groups like. So she will be building itineraries for them and sharing that, and so hopefully we'll get a lot of groups coming out of that. We had the most appointments at ABA that I think we have probably ever had. I think last year we had about 15, and this year she had 45 appointments.
Wow.
So that was impressive. I think a lot of that attributes to it being in Nashville this past year. The attendance for ABA was a lot higher, but it was a huge success for us. So I'm feeling very confident about that.
All right. So but it's not in Nashville.
It was in Nashville this year. It's not. The last time it was in Nashville was 10 years ago. So could be in Nashville again in 10 years, but we had a lot of great participation out of that.
Okay.
And then our 2024 travel guide is complete. I do want to note that this is probably the first time that it has ever been completed before February, March. So we were making final changes end of December, but now it is finally ready to go to print. Sometimes with the advertisers and having their ads designed, sometimes that, eats away at stuff. But our content has been done since November. But it is ready to go to print. I'm taking bids right now for the printing costs, and hopefully we'll get that by the mid-February. We're hoping for that. And then, let's see here. And then our ad sales this year. So we kind of did a new approach this year. We increased the price of ads by 10%. They haven't been increased in probably ever. So, printing costs are a lot higher than they used to be. So we did want to increase that a little bit. And then Sue and Maddie did our, outreach for that. So we printed nice little cards for them to take out, and they were very intentional about scheduling meetings with the right people. And then this year we added digital advertising benefits as well. So we'll make posts with them to do, Instagram posts, stuff on our website. So kind of a little more incentive, but it also helps our marketing person have content to post year round. So I thought that was going to be a really good win-win for everybody. And then we increased our total number of advertisers, and we increased that profit by 36% this year. So,
Have you done a comparison between what we're charging for ads and other counties within the region and what they're charging for ad space?
Yeah.
Can we bump it more than 10% if we haven't
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. That's something that we would love to do. We just didn't want to. We did not raise it for historic sites because they're our partners, but for everybody else we did that.
Oh, yeah.
But we didn't want it to be such like a culture shock, like, oh my gosh, why is this ad so much more expensive? We wanted it to still be somewhat where it was, but I'm not opposed to increasing that price at all.
Yeah, if it hasn't been raised and our prices are lower than they should be,
Yeah. Yeah,
Get those
absolutely.
things up.
Absolutely, and I would like the idea of offering, like full page spreads and, back cover, things like that.
Mhm.
But this year, we just,
Yeah, are we also charging, so you're talking about digital advertising, are you charging for like people that want to print like QR codes and connecting like their websites to your website and all of that? Like, what does that full marketing
so for the digital.
strategy look like, I
For
guess?
the digital ads, so that was just an added benefit that we wanted to add with that price increase, just because a lot of people would be, like a little resistant because it has been the same price
Sure.
forever. So it's just mainly like they're getting little shout outs on our website and maybe like a blog post written about them, but it actually benefits us because there's a lot of time where our marketing manager might be like, I'm not really sure this time of year who I can write a blog about or what I can write a blog about.
Sure.
So it kind of helps him fill in gaps of where he might be struggling with content and things like that.
Once you've done like the comparison for like who's been, like who are your long-term advertisers and what that fallout was because of that price increase, if there was any, can you just share that with us?
Yeah.
I'd be curious to see, was it, did we get more people or like what does that look like? 'Cause,
Yeah.
I mean, increase in ad sales is good, right? But we just want to get that price
Yeah.
as high as we can without scaring people away, but I'm curious to see what else we
There
can
was
do.
not a lot of resistance at all. Nobody.
I would doubt it.
Yeah, with 10%, that wasn't much, but we didn't want it to be just like crazy either. But we did have a lot more advertisers this year, people who've never advertised before. So, and we're also, as we're developing new strategies to have more partners, this has been a really great tool for us to meet with people and get to know them and hear them. And it's putting us out there a little bit more, so.
Yeah, I think the other thing you might want to consider is when you're like for advertising, if you know somebody's new, like don't be afraid to hit them with that higher price while you're working with your consistent people to slowly get them up to speed. That's totally fine.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So we talked about this in our last meeting, but we have been selected to host a songwriters competition, 2 of them. So it's Tennessee Songwriters Week, and we do that in partnership with the Tennessee Department of Tourist Development. And we've had a qualifying round for some years, and last year, for the first time, we were selected to have a showcase, and there's only 7 in the state of Tennessee, so to be selected for that is it's a huge honor. So those are going to be, the qualifying round is going to be Friday, February 3rd, and the showcase will be on Friday, February 23rd. I wanted to let you all know that if you would like tickets or if you would like to attend, please let me know, and we would be more than happy to have you guys. It's going to be great. It's probably one of my favorite events that we have, and it's a lot of work. February 2nd, sorry. I keep doing that. Historically, we've always had it on Saturday, but unfortunately with schedules and who was booked and all that, it just didn't work out, so we had to do it on Friday. But my brain keeps saying the Saturday date. It'll be on Friday, February 2nd, and that one will be at the Palace, and the showcase will be at the Temple Theater. Oh, and then also to mention, we have partnered with 2 local businesses and with Visit Franklin, and we're doing a giveaway, and we're putting a big push behind that with Visit Franklin. So that's going to be a really big success for us. It's one person will win a night stay in Sumner County and a night stay in Franklin, so that they'll go to both showcase events. So it's kind of encouraging that weekend in Tennessee. And what we're doing and working on now is making itineraries for people who are coming to the events. We're kind of doing that push of like spending more time other than just going to the show, because because the show's in Portland. There's so many great things to do, with 5 chefs and shopping. I think that it could be a big attraction to get people to go to the show if they know that there's other things that they can do other than just watch a show. So, let's see here. All right. Now on to occupancy tax. So this is kind of where I was talking about earlier. We're $22,000 ahead, but after we received the last report about how low it was and how much it had decreased, we emailed back and just asked about it. And there are 2 hotels who have not paid their taxes since August. So that they will pay them, and then that month, whatever month that they pay, it will seem like a crazy surplus, but there are 2 hotels who have not paid. And I think that that defaults to a higher power than me. I don't think I could come to people over tax collections, but hopefully somebody comes out for them soon. And then the Holiday Inn Express, you know, they were a victim of that hotel, of the tornado, and so they have decided to remodel, and they will be closed for approximately 8 months. So that puts us short 93.
It's one in front of the Y.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that puts us down 93 hotel rooms, and the Hyatt place has been remodeling, and they have, I think, 75 out of 98. But they say that they should be done at the end of January, but we all know how that goes. And we also just had snow, so I'm sure that put a delay in that as well. But we're just awaiting their reopening, but we might see a shift there. And another thing about the Holiday Inn Express is it was sold. I believe that TVN owns it now, so which may end up being a really good thing. I hope so. You know, that's our biggest hotel for people who go to Huckabee, so you know that's going to be a big attraction. Hopefully, you know, they play on that a little bit. So, but I did want y'all to know that it had been sold and they are remodeling.
Speaking of that, have you ever contacted Springhaven Mansion? So, because I know they book a lot of their weddings through that Holiday Inn too.
Yeah,
Out of towners.
probably so. We've worked with her several times, so
Really?
yeah. But she hasn't reached out to us about it. But it's unfortunate. It really puts that's one of our biggest group hotels. Luckily, the Hampton Inn in Gallatin and Hendersonville have really stepped up. Like we're willing to accept your group, so you know we're doing all right.
Okay.
Let's see here. All right, for the Irish Festival, so per our last meeting, I took some notes back, and so we have decided to increase our ticket price, and we reduced the festival time by an hour, because that reduces a whole hour of entertainment that you have to pay, and that can be anywhere from $1,000. You know, that really just kind of varies on what the talent is.
What were the ticket prices?
They were $10 a car, and now they're $15. So, like, there again, I didn't want to do something too big of an increase, but I'm more than willing in the coming years to keep
Is
bumping
that
that
for a
up.
minivan and a Ford Excursion?
Yeah.
And a Suburban?
Yeah,
And a 2-seater. So it's the same
Right.
regardless.
It's like the old drive-in movie.
I was gonna say,
Fit as many
how
people in the
many
car as
people you got in the
can.
trunk?
Yeah.
Not saying I ever did that.
and then we did
What are
create an
the-
Eventbrite where they can buy tickets ahead of time. There's a small discount there, but it's like $2.50. I think it's $12.50.
Right. So outside of like parking, what other revenue comes from the Irish Festival? Like, are we charging booth space? Like, what does that look like?
So, I know that the event was created because there was not an event held in that area at that time. And so, when it first started, we did not charge people to be vendors. We made them pay $50 and then they got the $50 back to show up. Now, there's so much demand to be at the event that I think that we should charge. However, I had already talked to people at the Middle Tennessee Highland Games, and I told them that that was the policy, so I wasn't going to do that because that would have been dishonest of me. And so in the coming years, I'm definitely wanting to charge a vendor fee because they do sell out, they do really well, and I don't think it would hurt them to pay $100, $150 or more. But in this year, since I had already talked to people and told people, and that's kind of how it's been, I didn't want to just be dishonest and, you know.
Right. Well, so I guess are vendors collecting Sumner County tax when they're selling in Sumner County?
I think so.
Should be paying sales
Should be,
tax,
yeah.
absolutely.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah.
Reporting.
Are, like, can we see like how much tax revenue is coming from the Irish Festival?
So we could have a report done with, you know, there's so many companies who do it, and we can see in that area how much money was spent and all of that, and I'd be happy to have that done.
Okay, yeah.
That's a lot, that's something that I really want to know, myself. And so
Well,
it's just research can be expensive, but but I'm want it.
yeah, I agree. I think, well, it can be expensive, but like if we can't determine the value of something,
Right.
right? All of the whole point of it is to bring tax revenue to Sumner County, right?
Yeah.
So if we can't demonstrate value, like, yay, we're doing an Irish festival,
Right.
but if it's not benefiting anybody, except for the people that are coming and leaving, and why are we hosting it? We want to make sure, I mean, yeah, it's great to do community events, but we should also be driving revenue because that revenue benefits taxpayers. So it would be good to see what we're actually getting, and honestly, we should be looking like a 3-year look back to see, are we even seeing an increase in that as
Right.
well?
And that's another thing that we're doing with that is we're also pushing itineraries to get people to, promoting hotels, supplying other things to do in the county. And we've kind of increased our outreach to, where the state provides where people are coming from. So we've kind of targeted those audiences as well with our ads.
Sure.
But I definitely am with you on that. I think however we can increase profit. I know a lot of people enjoy this festival, and it means a lot to a lot of people because it is a small community of Irish folks.
I'm Irish, I know. I'm totally fine with
Well,
it.
and it
I'm
does-
not saying we shouldn't get rid of it.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, taxpayers care about what
Yeah.
we do.
Well, but I would also love to explore the options of adding sponsors
Yes.
and having local community sponsors. That would need to start like immediately after the year and then after the festival for that next year.
Yep.
But we're gonna need that data to back up why people would even need to be a sponsor.
Yes, I agree.
And so that, most of my problems root down to not having the money or that, the research.
So when you think about the staff you have, like, who's like your data analytics person?
So that would be myself and our marketing manager.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and there's a lot of great tools. We've talked to community partners about coming in together because there's a lot of great tools that you can use for research. It's just very expensive, but you could split it up between all your partners and, chambers of commerce, economic development, anything like that, just so you have access to that data. And, I think that is something that we really need.
Are any of those partners like looking at that data already?
Not that I'm aware of, but most of the time they have contracts where they're not allowed to share that information.
Okay.
So, because they want the most money out of everybody that they can get. That's just typically how that goes, unfortunately. But I would love to have more research and to understand why things need to make sense. So,
I'd be curious to see what data you have access to at least.
not much.
Sorry to go into it, but I mean, I have a master's degree in strategy, and data will kill you or it will help you thrive.
Right. Right.
And the more data we can get, and even if you, like, I can teach somebody how to do data analytics
Right.
if you have access to the data. We
Yeah.
just need, I don't know.
The tools and the,
Well, the other
In
part
my
of it-
in my career, like, if you can't demonstrate value, nobody's going to give you money.
right,
And
absolutely.
we have to demonstrate to our taxpayers that the tourism board is driving value, and you can't do that unless you have access to data. And some of this should be reasonably easy to
Yeah,
get.
absolutely, absolutely. And that's something that I'm very interested in having, because a lot of the times I'm like, why am I, if somebody asks me for a sponsorship, I'm like, does that even make sense? And I'm plagued with this question of what should they get, but they've always gotten this, but why are we giving that? And that's something that I'm plagued with almost every day of my life. And so having the tools to be able to do that research would be the most amazing thing. I like numbers. I like when things make sense with numbers. So I'm totally with you there.
One of the things about this Irish Fest is that it takes place at Bledsoe Fort Park, which is a county park. It's a great benefit to the community. We do it in partnership with the Bledsoe Lake Historical Association, and I believe that we split the proceeds from the parking. Is that what it is? The entrance fee with them. So it's also a fundraiser, for them, and they provide a lot of volunteers to it. So there's more than us involved, there was also the.
Sure, yeah,
Let's
and I'm not saying
let's
there's no
let
value
community
in the
area.
Irish festival.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is, like, we need to demonstrate
Yeah.
the value, because once you can demonstrate that value, you can, like, you can promote it and
Yeah,
say,
absolutely.
look, this is why you should come to the Irish festival. This is why you should have a booth at the Irish
Right.
festival.
In 2020, it was the last event.
Yes, it was.
It was the last
Nashville
event of
didn't
the
get to have
year.
theirs, but we did.
It was literally the last event of the year. And I mean, I was there, and my lunch, ended up being a ice cream sundae, because that was all that was left by the time I got in line to get lunch.
I will
Right.
say this festival started almost as an experiment. We needed something to draw awareness to that site. Our historic sites have great value. It's not always in money, but in education and awareness. And it did so well that we extended the hours, and we kept kind of extending it and building on it a little bit every year. And I can tell, I don't get too much out of the Rogan Cottage because we're just lambasted with visitors in there, so I'm there
Sure.
from beginning to end. And the people who were coming through, it was just awesome to hear their stories that they had no idea it existed. Some of them had not even been to Sumner County that came because of that, and they were discovering the historic sites. They were discovering Wynwood, they were discovering Cragfont while they were in the area, and other things going on. So as a member of BLHA, I can speak to our great appreciation for this festival for sure, and the exposure that it's caused to lots of people.
Yeah, I agree. I think that makes a lot of sense. And could we support more festivals? Would people want to come? We don't know, because we can't tell them why they should.
Right,
That's the point.
yeah, I'm with you there. I'm definitely with you. I like having proof, proof that things are working, or proof of why we should do something. I like having that, so, yeah.
On your pre-sale tickets, we had talked about that. Perhaps that would be a way to track who's buying tickets from where and what part of the country. Will that also help you with your data analytics to see what exactly, because you weren't doing that before, and so
Yeah.
now you'll have a better
Yes.
idea. You could run a report
Yes.
each by state or cities or whatever.
Yeah, it'll depend on how many people do buy their tickets online, because some people will still want to buy them at the gate. But I do know that there are companies that can literally map out the park and tell you how many people are in the park, how much money they spent while they're at the park. Big Brother's watching, I guess, but it's to a little bit of my benefit.
Yeah,
Don't we
I
have that access now that kind of taps into people's cell phones and
So that was
gauges if they're in an
Arrivalist.
area?
That was Arrivalist, and that was
That's kind of
with the
interesting.
State Department, and they actually, I think that their research person who was in charge of that left and went to like Yale or something. So, that's kind of been put on hold, and they can do a little bit of something. And I'll have to look into that, but for the most part, it's gotta be a ticketed event, and it has to be purchased beforehand. I would definitely be interested in, if we
Okay,
continue
so
with
you're
Irish
telling me if I go to your festival and I have my cell phone on me, you're gonna be able to track me at the festival?
It was a
I'm
system that
not-
they had, that they knew how many hours you spent in Sumner County and where you went. It's a little freaky, but they were doing it.
It was very freaky.
It only tracked after like 6 or 7 hours.
Yeah, you had to be a certain period of time. You couldn't
You
just
can-
run in and out.
You
But
could do different companies do different certain periods of time, because I've seen some people who do 30 minutes, I've seen some do an hour, I've seen some do 6 hours, I've seen all kinds of different
Extremely
methods there.
intrusive.
And we don't see anything about anyone personally. I mean, it's a number, it's, I don't see
The problem
that.
is you're in my phone.
Well, that's up to you to turn that off on your phone.
The company is in your phone, and the
Yeah.
state, and the state's contract with the company.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
so,
they can tell you where you came from, and then when you left the event, where you're going, or where you went to. So if you were at Kroger's, and then you went to the Irish Festival, and then you went home, or you went to Walmart, they can dig that deep, which is valuable information for Zoe, because that shows that they left the Irish Festival and then they went and spent money at this place, or they went and filled up their gas tank. So
Or stay in a hotel.
correct, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you use that at your chamber?
We just have gotten access
Oh, you
to that.
have?
Mhm.
That'll be interesting.
Is that Arrivalist? Same
It
thing?
is not Arrival.
It's a different company.
It is, yes.
did you do Placer?
We've got Placer AI.
So Placer, they base it off the population of your area. And so we were quoted like, I think $50,000 to have access to that, which is a pretty penny. But there are companies who do it cheaper. They just package it up beautifully for you, and they show you what magazines people read and what books people read and what news channels they watch, and
Oh,
it's
you don't want
it's
to
a
know.
It's a little bit scary, but yes, but they can tell you everything you want
it's
to
a
know.
beautifully
It doesn't bother me at
packaged
all. I
book.
work for a Fortune 15 company.
But I
use
understand
tools
why
like that all
they
the
charge a
time,
lot of money
so
for it, but
It's fine.
I mean, I would love if we had access to something like that.
But that's more information than you need. I mean, they provide a lot more
necessarily.
than you would.
I don't think
Because you're
necessarily.
selling, you're doing all those things. You're
Yeah.
using Facebook and TV.
Oh, that's
and-
true.
Right, well,
Mhm.
And
with
gas
the
and Walmart
Facebook
and-
ads, but with Facebook ads, I'm only allowed to see what people are doing on their phone. And if they're engaging with my content specifically. I can't see where they went, if they actually came to Sumner County. I can't see I can see it maybe, the only data that necessarily I have of real data is the occupancy tax.
But I meant the data that you would see from Placer, what they're watching on TV.
Right.
I mean, we're using those.
I mean, it would be advantageous to know if they came to a festival in Sumner County, did they stay at a hotel in Sumner County, or did they go outside of Sumner County?
Yeah.
Or if it was a local going to.
Yeah, you
And
can.
then if you also know what they're watching on TV, then you have,
Now, I don't think that Placer has that ability.
Right.
oh, I thought you said they
Well,
have that.
yeah, but
Well,
you said something that I
There's different packages
liked.
too.
Yeah, you said something I like that doesn't necessarily need, like, doesn't have to do with tracking people. But like, if we're saying, hey, we're gonna offer online for pre-sale, what if we're, like, what about putting bundles together? Where you're partnering with the hotels and say, look, we're gonna sell like a hotel, like a discounted hotel rate and tickets to the thing. Like, what are some things that we can do there
So
where we
that-
can,
Right. So that just gets complicated
that?
because you have to fill in contracts with hotels and you have to meet that requirement. So if we did not meet that requirement, I'm not sure what the,
We have to pay for the hotel room.
yeah, you have to pay
That
for the
didn't
hotel
qualify.
rooms.
If they're holding it.
And so that could end up being a
Yeah.
big loss for us as
But
well.
could you do, since this year is the first year you're doing online ticket sales, could you put in a little survey in there? Would you be interested in package deals next year?
Yeah, and so that's kind of the point of having the online tickets is we're able to have their email and we can plug that in the email list and do a post-event survey of where did you come from? Did you enjoy the event?
right, but you could do something that doesn't cost any money, like put links to Sumner County hotels
Yeah.
in there, like that you just purchased it, here are hotels in this area.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then
That-
you can track to see, are they like
Yeah,
checking
The
so-
them
hotel
out?
might offer a discount, they might do that on that particular link,
It's-
not necessarily
yeah.
holding a room, but
And it just depends on what they have going on too, because it's all about supply and demand, and
Yeah,
you know, there could be something here that we don't know about that, you know. But I do like the idea of that. It just could get a little complicated, but I'm not opposed to exploring that at all.
What are the dates for the festival? Is it March 9th?
Yes.
I know I've seen it on Facebook 100 times.
what? It just says reduced
Feels like
amount.
100 times, might have only been 7.
Yeah. The Gallatin Chamber has their Shamrock Run the same day generally.
Yes. And we put flyers in their goodie bags as well to get people who participated in the Shamrock Run to come to the Irish Festival after.
Mhm.
Oh, Shamrock Run.
Yes.
I didn't know. Oh, I thought
Yeah.
you said Shamrock One.
Oh, no, Shamrock Run.
Run.
What is the one they do? Okay.
Yeah, and then that last bullet point, reduced amount of unnecessary paid vendors and activities, so that's not really a huge deal, but there were a couple of vendors and people who Barry had brought into the event that I don't think were necessarily all that necessary. We had a storyteller, and we had paid way too much money for her, and
I
that,
heard a lot of, well, it wasn't her, it was a guy that was a storyteller that I heard lots of good stuff about.
it was not, it's not the girl that's
He's
been
not
there.
available anymore.
Yeah.
Oh,
The girl who's come the last 2 years, you know, I've been at the Irish Fest the last 2 years, and I was like, oh, this is no. And that was the first immediate thing for me to go. We were paying for her hotel, her travel expenses. She is out, unfortunately.
Right, well, how many paid vendors do we have?
It's just the entertainment for the stages. So, I don't have it right now. So, I can answer that for you in just 1 second.
Mhm.
And then another person that we had dropped was we typically have a balloon artist, a face painter for kids, and we're having character visits for you, bring in characters. So we dropped the character visits because, yeah, it's nice to get a picture with, your favorite princess or whatever, but I just didn't think with the other two kids' activities that was really necessary. And we also have a kids' cabin where typically we're just printing something at the office, like an activity, just color this or go on a little scavenger hunt, and that costs us, probably a couple dollars. So, that, to me, dropping that little kids' activity is not a bad idea. And then as far as paid vendors, so, obviously we have to pay for the stages, and then we do porta potties, which we are going to decrease the number of porta potties because most people use the bathrooms at Bledsoe, and they clean them up, and they're very nice. So I think we'll have a little bit less, but we do have to have an ADA porta potty. That is a requirement. So we do have to have some porta potties, but we will not have as many. But I would say performers, maybe 10.
Okay.
10 total.
Do you have an idea what your initial cost would be going into it?
I could start putting those numbers together and share that with you all. I'm hoping that we're gonna come under what we came under last year. That's kind of the, we were.
Kind of what you're budgeting for and then what you actually cost you?
Yeah, absolutely. I can give you all kind of where we're at on that already.
It's our agreement with the vendors or the paid entertainers if the weather is bad and they have to cancel.
So we do have a rain date. So if if it rains on Saturday, we have to have that festival the next day. So they know that they have to be available on the 10th as well. So, yep. Any other questions? Right. And then as far as advertising that we have coming up, we are running our commercials on YouTube and Connected TV. Connected TV, we talked about this in our last meeting, but not everybody was here. That's going to be more of like your streaming services, so things like that. Most people are switching to that anyways, and then that'll show on YouTube TV, I think everybody in this world watches YouTube at some capacity. So, yep, that's what we're doing with that. And then we're also running ads on Google. And then we will be running print and digital ads with a Southern Food and Travel Company in the next several months. That's what we got that going. And unfortunately, Sue Morrison has resigned, and her last day was a few weeks ago. She was done after like the first week of January. So we do have a position open. I personally do not think that we need a full-time person. I think it's tricky because sometimes it's like we have 5 full-time people in the office and it feels like too much, and then there's some days that we're really missing a body there. So I was thinking hiring a part-time person, maybe 2 to 3 days a week. Obviously with a part-time person, you're going to be able to pay them probably a little bit less than what you would normally a full-time person. And I was thinking about looking at, Vol State, their students, people who are eager to please and want to learn. I think that could be a great asset.
MTSU has a tourism
That's the program.
degree.
Yeah, that's where I graduated with.
Yeah. And I know that because my daughter's in that program. But have you thought about just doing an intern, talking to them about doing an internship? Because that's going to be significantly less money. You're not going to have to pay benefits, and then, if you just, I don't know.
Yeah.
I would recommend looking at.
Yeah, tourism programs. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the THM program at MTSU, that's where I graduated from with my degree in that. So I'm still in the alumni group, and so whenever we do have job openings, I always post them in that group just to say that we're hiring. But that was somewhere I was going to go to one of my professors and just send that email to her, and she usually shares it with all her students. That's probably going to be a little bit tricky because those kids are in Murfreesboro. That's an hour away, but
Kelly, are you still off on Fridays?
Yes.
So what did Sue do there?
So
I know I remember coming to talk to her, but I don't remember what she.
So Sue does a lot of answering the door, answering the phone when people
Receptionist type work?
Receptionist type
work?
Yeah, and then she was also led the charge on our ambassador program, and our ambassador program is where we go and we educate, our hotel partners and realtors and just anybody and everybody who wants to learn about what there is to do in Sumner County. So she kind of led the charge on that as well. But she was also just kind of there to help out with everything that we needed help for. But that's why I don't think that a full-time person is always necessary, because sometimes we feel staff heavy, but then sometimes we need that extra body, you know, when we're having an event or something, or, you know, there's a lot going on. We feel the weight of that. We felt that with ABA last week with all those group tour operators. We felt that a little bit. So having somebody to be around whenever we have things like that would be great.
I was gonna say, could you have the flexibility
Mhm.
to have them there more?
Yeah.
If you have to ramp up at certain times or events?
Yeah, and that's why I think a student would be great, because a lot of the time they're gonna be eager to please and want to learn the business.
Who's gonna train them though? That's gonna take away from somebody else.
It would probably just be kind of a group effort, you know, whenever you,
I'm just saying, because if it's part-time and you guys are busy and they're trying to learn, won't that take away from your productivity time?
not so much. I mean, we would, you know, that happens all the time. Somebody could leave tomorrow and we're all gonna have to train
Right.
somebody. So, I mean, there's gonna be things that they could partner with the sales manager, and sales
Well,
manager could train them.
One of
so.
my questions would be, why not hire someone part-time and then get somebody to come in under an internship program under those people? Instead of, because you don't have to pay internships. I didn't.
It's very hard to offer unpaid internships in the economy that we live in right now.
Yeah, the probability of somebody taking an unpaid internship over a paid one is pretty low.
Yeah.
That's worth your
Yeah.
investment.
Yeah, I think the days of unpaid internships are
Unless.
almost gone.
Yeah, I would agree there too. We could probably pay them, you know, probably half of what Sue made in that position, so.
Yeah.
And not have the additional cost of benefits.
Yeah, no benefits,
But
no
when
holidays.
they're done with school though, and they're done with that internship, then what?
Could bring in somebody else.
See how it goes.
Yeah, you find, yeah.
So
Yeah.
this is a constant training thing.
But that's okay.
Yeah.
Is
no,
it-
yeah.
yeah.
I'm just asking.
Yeah,
because
I think that's
understand
fine, because basically all you do is you just look at what is the job, what absolutely needs to be redistributed.
Yeah.
Sorry, I manage 4,000 people, so I mean, this isn't a major issue, right?
Yeah.
You just look at what can you do to change that job
Yeah.
into something that it's okay for somebody to rotate in and out of, and
Yeah,
you're good to go.
absolutely.
Well, if they're
Yeah.
in that program, they already have some exposure to what,
And some
what you're
skills, some
doing,
skills
yeah.
that
Yeah,
you're-
and that's why I wasn't so fast to replace Sue, because I wanted to kind of feel where are we missing, where are we lacking, what could we use help with?
Right.
And data, you know, plugging in data and managing our databases is kind of the main thing what we need, managing MailChimp. You could
Yeah.
figure, that could take an hour and you would have that figured
Right.
out.
And honestly, if you're finding any student that needs an internship and one of your requirements is they have data analytics skills, you're gonna just get somebody that can do that for you
Yeah, absolutely.
very inexpensively.
Absolutely. And so as far as training goes, I think that could be something that was, you know,
Okay.
minimal
Just
time.
curious about that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no.
So Volunteer State does have it's not work-based learning, but
Uh-huh.
essentially that's what it is. Jeff Cockrell runs that. You have to fill out an MOU with the job description, what you're gonna pay, and then they'll put you with the program at Vol State
Okay.
that matches what you're looking for. So he's definitely somebody that you wanna
Okay.
talk to, and then that's a student that's local. And then you have the potential of, if they work out really well, of adding them on permanently.
Right, yeah, no, that
And
would
if
be-
you had that intern that came and if they just came every Friday, would that help you?
We specifically need someone probably who worked a little bit longer, just in case there's a Saturday where we're having an event or something and we need help. Like, I would wanna, to pay somebody one day a week, that's not much of a benefit for them, that they would be
But I mean
available for us.
specifically for Fridays. Like, could you put them specifically in there on Fridays and then they would have another 2 days?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, usually, I know with part-time people in the past, it was like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or it was Tuesday, Thursday kind of thing. I would prefer to have somebody 3 days a week.
Mhm.
Just because, you know, when someone comes in, it does take time out of your day when somebody comes in
I was
and
just
wants a
thinking
tour of the
school
house.
schedule.
Yeah, no,
So-
absolutely. So, and this would also be a really great job for someone who has kids in school and things like that. You know, there's a lot of flexibility within a part-time role in our office.
Yeah, I agree with that,
So-
especially if the hours are relatively flexible.
Yeah,
Yeah.
agreed. And weekend availability every once in a while. And
Yeah, you're just tapping into a different labor market pool than you are with full-time.
Yeah, exactly. All right, and over the last few months, so I've been kind of doing a lot of research on other CVBs and DMOs strategic plans that they have done. A lot of them have them online, which is amazing. And I've talked to some of my, colleagues that I've met throughout my time here. And so I'm working to put that together on, what other places are doing, and because not every shoe fits every destination. And so kind of playing on what other people are doing and kind of taking those ideas and seeing how we can fit some of those things into our organization. But to be honest with you, I think our number one thing that we're gonna need is research. I think that is something that is a huge need for us in this time of trying to figure out where people are coming from, why they're coming. And that research is really gonna help us with sponsorship. So that goes back to the sponsorship things is, that was something I was wanting to talk to you all about and kind of get feedback there. Because there's a lot of time where someone reaches out to me for a tournament or an event, and maybe it's a new event. And I have nothing to go off of, and it's tricky, it gets really tricky. Then I could have had a huge missed opportunity of an event that was super successful that I wasn't a part of, or it completely flops. And I'm finding the trouble of right now is, we've had tournaments or events in the past that we've given them the same amount of money, and in my brain I can't justify it. But you also can't burn your bridges with everybody. So I'm finding it very difficult. I'm having a difficult time navigating that without research, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And so suggestions and, anything that we could help with that would be really beneficial to me.
I don't want to sound stupid, but I do not know what a DMO and a CVB is.
So we are a DMO. We are a destination marketing organization.
Okay,
And a CVB is a Convention and Visitors Bureau.
okay.
So it's destinations like ours.
Okay.
Yeah, so,
Thank you.
of course.
Nashville has a CVB.
We used to be a CVB. I'm not sure why we were CVB because we don't have facilities for
Or
conventions.
conventions.
But we are now a DMO. It's either destination marketing or destination management. I learned it as marketing, so it kind of goes either way.
Okay.
And as far as our strategic plan for the future goes, we can have very tentative plans and things like that, but the marketing world is ever changing. It changes probably every day. But back to the sponsorships, any help that I could get there would be.
Could you ask, I don't know what your sponsorship, like if you have a reporting form for them, but if they could show you maybe their P&L for the event, and if they can give you any data that they're collecting.
Right.
Because I know a lot of people will track license plates and things like that, because ultimately what your goal is to bring people outside of Sumner County into Sumner County.
Right, and that we ask for the event budget, we ask for if they have hotel room blocks, we ask for this, we ask for that. We ask for all of those things, but it's still hard to navigate, because I have a festival who tells me that they have people from 26 states coming, and then I had a report done on it, and only I think it was less than 10% had come from over 50 miles away. And are they spending the night? Probably not.
Right.
But yet we're given this festival, and historically we've given them $10,000, and I'm like, I can't do that. Like I can't justify that. And so, but it's hard when it's me that has to make that decision, and I'm the one that has to continue to have that Does that make sense? Like, the decision is solely on me, and yet I have to keep this relationship with this person. But if I cut that event sponsorship in half, that relationship is probably done.
Would you feel better having parameters from the board so that you could blame it on us?
Or put together maybe like a subcommittee of, that where we meet every once in a while and come and say, this is the sponsorship applications, and review them together. And maybe once we are able to have more data, really look into that as well. Because having the decision be based 100% on me just makes my partnerships with people, it makes it harder.
Well, I think right now it's super subjective
Mhm.
because you don't have,
You have no
you have
parameters.
nothing to
Yeah.
go on other than a handshake from before or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely.
And goodwill.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
that's
I hope
really
that,
difficult.
I hope this works, and it backs me in a corner,
Sure.
and not being able to have that research either. Because if I had the research, I could look at somebody and say, you know what, I'm not giving you that much money because look at this.
Right.
You know.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I also think it comes down to having a solid strategy for like why does the tourism board exist? What do we want to accomplish, and how is this event going to help make that happen?
Right.
First of all, so then once you have that in place, then you can analyze everything objectively and say, well, this isn't really something that's going to benefit this. And when you look at like, okay, well, if our goal is to increase, okay, so occupancy tax, right, right here, right. So one of the things I wrote down, we kind of skipped past it, is like, how are we correlating board activities to occupancy tax increases? Like, did we do anything to increase this, or did they just increase?
Right.
I don't know, right? If we didn't do anything to influence this, then, well, why are we even talking about it, right?
Right.
Like, shame on us. We got to figure out what are we going to do
Exactly.
to drive that increase, right?
That's a great point, because a percentage increase, you don't know if it's the percentage increase is because the rate is up, or if the hotel room rate, the fee, the cost to rent a room is up.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. And so those are things we need to understand, right? You can look 2018, 19, 951, then it drops in 2019 and 20, and 20 into 21. We all know why, because people stopped traveling for work
And we've
because
also
of
got
COVID.
new hotels within there as well.
And then,
so that's
right,
another
exactly.
thing.
And so is it new hotels? Is it rate increases? Or, so that's where we need to look at month over month and say, okay, did we have an event here in Sumner County, and did that event drive people to stay in Sumner County, or people just staying at hotels in Sumner County because it's cheaper than staying in Nashville?
Right.
Or are they staying here because there's a Taylor Swift concert and literally everything is booked, so people are staying in Red Wedding Springs?
Right. And so if we're able to have data pass people's phones and actually track their activity and say, okay, they saw that ad, and then what did they do? What was the action after that? Did they just click off of it and we have an impression and that got us nowhere? Or did they come here?
It sounds like you were asking for us to fund data.
Oh, no.
No?
No, I think I need to explore. I need to explore our options and.
Well, I don't think it's not a dream. I think what we need to do is say,
it
here's
needs to
our
be
total
budgeted.
budget. Yeah, here's our total budget. What can we,
Well.
what
I'm
can
not-
we change in our
yeah.
budget so we can afford to get the analytics we need so
Right.
that we can increase revenue? I
Right.
think that's the conversation we need to
And
have.
stop you
Right.
spinning your wheels and wondering.
Yeah.
But a lot of the occupancy tax info, that should be available already. They have to pay, the hotels have to pay the county a tax. That should be,
Right.
there should be a lot of data on how many rooms were rented, what those rental fees were, if you wanna call it rental
Yeah,
fees.
so STR.
All of that should be out there.
STR offers us that data, and I've been curious about if we still, that data is very hard to read. I need to go, if we're gonna renew our membership with them, I need to go in there and have a training, because they offer trainings to really walk you through how it is organized.
Do we currently have a membership with them?
I have not renewed, because I've just been,
How much is the?
do you know? It's pretty expensive,
We did get a discounted rate, it was about 3,000,
$3,000 a year.
but that was discounted, so.
Yeah, but 3,000 is worth it if you can actually get information. Plus, like, why isn't the Sumner County clerk giving us stuff?
Exactly.
That's what I want to know. This is freaking tax data.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Sorry,
Well,
I mean, this
probably
is tax
all they get
information.
is the amounts that's sent in. They don't get the number of rooms and that kind of thing.
Well, yeah, I
They
agree with
just get
that.
a dollar amount.
How's it audited?
That's not.
Yeah, they're
I don't know.
getting. I mean, they know what business collected the tax, right? They know the date that the tax
Yeah.
was collected. They know all of those things. So why in the world can't we get a detailed tax report? We're part of Sumner County. This is Sumner County tax.
I mean, that's gonna have to be a question for the clerk's office.
We shouldn't have to pay anything for that.
The only occupancy tax information that I'm given is this per month.
Yeah, this
that's
is
all I'm
like
given.
almost useless, but not quite.
I mean,
I mean, it's helpful to
Yeah.
see,
And
but
the
like,
S-
it's not telling you
It's
anything.
an interesting data point that if you can't correlate the number of rooms, how much people are paying on average, how much that's changed month on month,
Right.
year on year,
And
it's
you-
meaningless.
Right,
I
and you
think you can get that through STR.
can get that through STR.
Yeah.
However, I have not been trained on that, so I didn't wanna just pay it to have it and to just look at. And
Sure.
so I didn't wanna renew that until I was able to get in there and get trained on what all the
Yeah,
data means.
But again, this
Yeah.
should be something that the county clerk should have.
That's not up to me, so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so who can get us that? That's the question.
I
Like,
should think, as the director of the tourism department, you should be able to have that conversation with
Yeah,
Carolyn
I'd be absolutely more than
Yes.
happy to ask.
I would highly recommend, I will make a motion.
I'd be happy to.
Carolyn Templeton
Yeah,
to begin searching into that.
yeah, absolutely.
I'll second that.
Yeah, and we are,
All in favor?
Okay, we got a motion,
Yeah.
in a second, for her to contact the county clerk's office and try to get more detailed information.
yeah, I'd be more than happy to. And once I can, I've been with the STR, just been curious and wondering, I just didn't want to, that's a lot of money to spend on data that we haven't utilized in the past. So for me, it was like, if I'm not understanding the data, I'm not buying it.
Is the training free?
I'm
would
sure,
assume
I would
so.
assume if their salespeople will give you
And
any
is
Do
the
we have
3,000
historical data from when we were paying for it?
from STR. Yeah, yeah.
I remember
So
years
let's look
ago,
at it.
we used to get an STR report.
I have a report. Yeah.
Years ago, we used to get an STR report, but it was nothing that was ever useful for us as a board.
But is there a budget line item for that?
For STR,
STR.
it should still, it should be in the budget for that.
It was no more beneficial than this piece of paper right
Correct.
here.
I was just, it was just numbers, it didn't mean much.
And that's why I need to really sit down with their salesperson, because they call me and just say, hey, do you want to renew?
But you
to-
have copies of the past. So
I have
somebody-
one copy, but I'm sure if I can get on Barry's computer, I might be able to find more. I'm not sure.
But one copy would give somebody
Yeah.
in here the ability to look at it.
Yeah,
I would ask
Yes.
them, though, I'm sure they
See
can
if you can drill
structure
down.
reports different ways. And with all of the data that they're getting, and you might ask them, tell them what our needs are, what your needs are,
Right.
and ask, can they structure a report to
Right.
give you?
And if you want to pull me onto a conversation,
Yeah.
like, do it.
Yeah.
I'll ask a question,
Absolutely.
obviously. I'm asking a lot,
Yeah,
sorry,
no.
but.
Can we go back to your motion? I didn't get all of it, I'm sorry.
Oh, the motion was for Zoe to contact, Carolyn Templeton, County Court Clerk, and ask for that data.
County clerk, yeah.
Yes,
County
not court clerk.
Yeah.
That would be
We
the
had too many
black-headed
clerks.
lady.
Yeah, to get detailed
Whose name I can't
occupancy
think of.
tax data.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Um,
minimally month over month
yeah,
from the people who are collecting it.
yeah. Because
The
I would be
hotel
interested to see that,
data,
to see what
the number of
hotels.
rooms, the average rate.
See, and that's what STR provides for us, but that's an expense to, that's
Yeah.
at our expense, so.
Let's go ahead and vote on that.
Well, if it's already budgeted, then we shouldn't have to even vote on it, should we?
Well, I haven't renewed our contract with them just because but I can. I
But
mean,
when was the renewal?
It was a few months ago.
So it's in
So
last
it might
year's
have been in your budget.
It is in the budget for sure.
There you go.
But to have data just to look at it and not understand it, I just didn't want to pay for it if I didn't.
Mhm.
Well, the
Yeah.
motion on the floor
So I think it-
is.
Yeah, let's go ahead and vote on the motion on the floor unless there's any more discussion on that. And then we'll move on back on to that.
Okay,
So,
yes.
all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Okay.
But anyways,
So STR data, if you can get me historical data, I can look at it
okay,
and then see what it's saying, and then I can probably determine whether it's worth $3,000 or not.
okay,
And then from there, we can make a plan, yes, we want to do it. Or I am happy to get on a call with the sales representative and say, can you please just prove to me why I care about your product and what it's going to give me?
I would appreciate that
Okay.
more than because that's, it's something that we've always done, but I know historically that we haven't spent a lot of time actually analyzing it, and so for me, I just didn't want to pay that subscription to just stare at it, you
Yeah.
know? So having the tools and the resources to actually use that data would be super beneficial.
And while we're on this topic, and you said that you would like for us to help you go through some of the sponsorships, I was wondering, since we have a basically new board, if we could put the idea out that we would meet once a month for the rest of this year, rather than every other month. And I know not everybody would be able to, I mean, as long as we have quorum, but then we wouldn't have to schedule special meetings for sponsorships either.
Let's see.
If that, but we have to vote on that anyway. That just was my idea. So we would have one a month instead of 6 this year.
More like working sessions.
Yes.
And
yeah.
then not like a quarterly report out. That would be different. That way, if there's any help you need,
Yeah, so we'll have our regular meetings and then the opposite
Yeah.
month. So in February.
Kind of like a
we
working
could meet
meeting and then a
again.
regular board meeting.
A work
Do
study.
sponsorship.
Right.
Two work studies.
Right.
Mhm.
We would just need to make sure that there was flexibility in there in case there's
Tornado.
an event.
Flood.
Or we're at a conference, or there's gonna be times like that we're busy, so would we wanna set that like second, I'm just giving out examples, second Monday of the month, there's gonna need to be flexibility in there just in case that there's something comes up.
yeah, I would just say maybe just propose a few dates, like, and then.
I mean, right now we're meeting, what, the third Thursday,
You
is that
sent,
this
you
is, or
sent
fourth?
us a, you
This is a
sent us
Tuesday.
a
Tuesday,
slate
whatever it is.
I'm not
of a
really
few
sure.
dates that would work,
Okay.
and then we'll work.
If I send them out for like the next 6 months, would that be okay, just to?
Well,
start
we
off?
have, for the rest of the year and the alternate months,
Okay.
yeah. Just because you,
Because you have the quarterlies
Yeah.
on there, it's just filling in the blanks.
yeah.
And then I guess the next question is, what would, how many people would we need for a quorum for those work sessions? Would it need to be the same numbers of quarterlies?
Has to be 5.
Well,
If
it's
we're
working,
voting
you want it
on
to
things,
work.
yeah, we would have to have a quorum. If we're not voting on things, we're just discussing things, a quorum's not necessary.
Yeah, well, yes, I guess you're right, because we won't be voting on your sponsorships. But we
Mhm.
do need to work on setting parameters for sponsorships.
Well, and most of our sponsorships now are fishing tournaments or
Festival.
softball
Yeah.
tournaments and things like that, right?
Right, but as a lot of new things come in, it gets hard whenever, it almost becomes personal. And that's really hard with relationship building, it's hard, so.
I mean, I think it's necessary because we want to make sure that we're helping you to pick the right sponsorships.
And I could really use that help, because a lot of the time it just becomes really difficult to make those decisions.
But,
there-
and if for this year, if you say, well, I have a board meeting once a month,
Yeah,
then we'll take it to the board and we'll have a discussion. Then you don't have to make a commitment right away. If you
Right.
need like, oh, I'm not sure,
right,
then.
yeah, no, that would really help me a
Well,
lot.
is there an option for you to have a funding period, like sponsorship applications are open from January through March, and then at the March meeting, they're presented here, and you can allow the board to even vote on them, once you've got those parameters in place?
That just becomes hard because I'll get a call from a random fishing tournament who's like, I've got a fishing tournament in 2 weeks and blah, blah, blah. That becomes tricky. And it could be a super successful fishing tournament and then we've turned them away because they missed that period, so.
But if we have thresholds for like how much money requires a discussion with the board for approval and like what is like okay for you to make a decision on, I don't think that's a problem. I think we can solve it. I think it's just setting clear expectations, right? Because if somebody says, oh, I've got a fishing tournament in 2 weeks, I could really use 60 grand, you're like,
Yeah.
Gotta take
Yeah.
And your name is what?
look at all of us.
Yeah, no, but I totally agree that having, just discussions about those kind of things would be really beneficial just because, it's hard to make those decisions on your own without a whole lot of information to back it up. And we could work on creating a new sponsorship application of requirements and things that we need from them and what they have to provide. I've sat at my desk and drafted those things 1,000 times, but there's only so much that can go on in my brain at certain times, and so
Yep,
it's
I
been
agree.
hard. But
I also don't think we should be embarrassed to ask what is our expected return on investment? If we're gonna give you
Yeah.
the sponsorship,
What's in it for us?
how will that benefit Sumner County?
I don't usually talk. I'm not supposed to talk. We usually generally ask for an economic impact study on what the tournament is, but we have learned that they are
They
generally
don't know.
inflated. And we've been up at 5 o'clock in the morning to go to the launch ramp to check out license plates and see if they tell us they have 200 anglers, if they have 200 anglers. And yeah, we try to get it, but it's not
And
very,
it's just
it's
like
not necessarily
a family
trustworthy.
reunion.
Yeah.
Right.
We just sponsored a family reunion.
at Bull Creek Boat Ramp, yes.
And we are still carrying insurance on that.
Yes, we are.
County doesn't do that, we pay for it.
No, if we stopped doing that, they would tear it out.
Who would tear it out?
The,
Corps of Engineers.
yeah, yeah.
It's owned by the Corps of Engineers, but we have to keep it up.
So is there a contract between the
Corps of Engineers.
Corps of Engineers and the county that we do that? Well, there has to be something in writing.
I'm not 100% sure. I was not around whenever that.
It's a permit, you have to have a permit with the Corps of Engineers.
It's actually just
Well-
a letter of it's an understanding between the Army Corps of Engineers
It's an MOU.
and Sumner County Tourism that we will be responsible for insuring the docks and for any repairs and maintenance
Well,
that's needed.
And how much do people pay to get to use the dock?
Nothing.
Oh, well, can't we change that?
Well, then, but then those.
Then we'd have to
would-
hire somebody to sit out there and collect money.
Yeah.
That would
and-
be something that the Army Corps would probably.
That's a
Well,
lot
it's the
of
same,
money.
but like the
there's-
Cairo boat ramp,
we need to
there's no
look
charge.
at-
I mean, I'm
there,
just
but that's-
saying, like,
that is
if
the
you
Corps of
put a
Engineers.
Yeah,
little
it is
sign
the
out
Corps of
there
Engineers
that
board,
says,
blah, blah,
oh, you wanna park here, scan here and put your license plate and pay your $2, it could at least cover the cost of it, even if not everybody's doing
But
But
it.
if it's
Are
owned by,
we
if it's owned by
able
the
to
Corps of
do that?
Engineers, I
I
don't
mean-
think we can do that.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't think that we would have the jurisdiction to do
Wait a
that.
minute, you are taking care of the boat docks though, right?
Mhm.
So if you are in maintenance and care of the boat dock, which is, I know how much a boat dock costs, for me, it was $35,000. So if you're in charge of maintaining and taking care of the boat docks and you're allowing people to use them, you have essentially a liability there. And, if I'm parking my boat at your boat dock, I should be able to charge you to do that.
If
I
I'm
think
not
the
The Corps of
Corps-
Engineers.
And all you're
is
doing is
there.
covering the
Probably
cost.
owns the
If I'm
land.
Just a way to break
mistaken-
even.
Lot
If
is
I'm
all.
not mistaken, the gentleman who runs Slippers owns the parking lot and the property that is there around the launch ramps, and specifically those, if we
I
did
knew there
not.
was something with flippers.
Right.
Yeah.
And Flippers is no longer in business,
Right,
correct?
but he still owns the property.
Correct.
Yeah,
But if
whatever
we
that
said that
road
we
is
were
right
not to
there.
maintain, if
Right
we
before
said we're not going to
Bridge.
maintain those docks and the city and the county didn't step up, which they have not in the past, they will remove the docks immediately.
How much value is the Sumner County, how much value are we getting out of that boat, of paying for that boat dock? If the answer is nothing,
So there
Then
are,
we should let
there
it
are a
go.
lot of fishing tournaments who do use that boat ramp and have
Time.
historically always used it. And so I think it would probably prevent a lot of fishing tournaments from coming back here, because a lot of them like that access point. So it would have to just kind of, we'd probably need to survey fishing tournaments who have them there, would you be willing to relocate, how much?
how much does it cost to insure that
Do you
boat
know
dock?
off the top of your head, or?
Oh, and I'm back to insurance again. Same question. I wanna know insurance. And I can bring it to the
Off
table.
the top of my
tomorrow.
head, I think it's $1,600 or $1,700 a year.
So
not a
you
lot.
cover the insurance account,
Yes.
it's
The
not.
county does not, and I'm not sure that's completely true. I mean, I think that's the number that's in my head, and I think
I
that's
just wanna
right,
make sure everything's
but-
insured.
but
That's
I'm
my
not
Yeah.
sure that's the exact number.
Yeah, the tourism board pays the insurance, and didn't seem to me like it was much money.
No, we couldn't afford to do it if it was,
Who
$35,000.
pays for the repair?
Well,
We do.
We
We
do,
do.
but there's a gentleman out there now, and he lives by the docks, and he owns a dock company. So unless it's something major, he's kind enough just to take care of it for us. Because he has the equipment and the materials. So unless it's something major, which we've not had in quite some
We had to
time.
do some major repair 6-7 years ago, something like
Right.
that.
When you're managing anything, there's, always gonna be, but then it becomes something that's like, okay, this outweighs the benefit, then it's like, okay, well, then we let them take it,
What line item is that in? Is that in the administrative line item, or is that in the sponsorships line item?
No, that's,
Makes sense?
no.
For expenses.
Yeah, it's not, I can't look at it right now, so I'm not 100% sure, but it is not sponsorships. I'm thinking for some reason that,
Probably the administrator with all the other insurance. Would be my
I
guess.
was just looking at this yesterday, but I
But
wouldn't.
the thing about the docks, if I could clarify, and maybe I'm not right, and I hope I'm not overstepping, but the thing about the docks is that it's not just the fishing tournaments that we sponsor. So if somebody comes with a tournament and it has 50 boats or 25 boats, but it's not big enough for us to sponsor, it's still those people that are coming to town who are filling up their tanks with gas, who are stopping at our markets and getting something to, whatever it is they need, who are stopping at the Walmart to get their fishing supplies, who are stopping and eating at our restaurants. So it's not
Wives
just.
are coming and
Yeah.
shopping.
It's more
Yeah.
broad
So I
than-
guess the real question is like, what is the utilization?
So we actually
for
have a
that?
Bull Creek boat ramp schedule that we
Mhm.
maintain on our website, and a lot of those tournaments are not anything that we financially sponsor at all. A lot of the time, that schedule is full, and there's a lot of things going on, and those are like smaller tournaments, but they're not big enough for us to give them money, but they are significant.
But anybody can use it, not
Yeah.
just tournaments.
So while our main objective is to put heads in beds, the people who even come for a day trip here are still spending their money
Yeah.
in our county. And the money they spend it,
Mhm.
But how are
various
you
places.
how do you?
But we just don't know
capture
how many people per
I
day
mean,
are
how you
using
No, but
it.
we do have a total that we get from the state every year that tells us how much is spent.
Yeah, in visitor spending for the year, we're able to see that.
Okay, got it.
That's pretty
I
significant.
mean, it's only $1,700, so it's not that much, but
No.
you can only $1,700 yourself to death, so.
Right. I would say for $1,700, I would say that there definitely is a return on investment because there are fishing tournaments who do bring in big crowds, so I would
There's
say.
probably a
that-
tournament there every weekend.
Yeah, and so,
There are a ton of them that go out
exactly, and so I think that $1,700 is very minimal. I mean, if there were like, you're gonna have to spend $40,000 to maintain this, okay, maybe let's evaluate, but $1,700 is really not
Okay.
a lot on that part.
Okay, anything else under the director's report? All right, let's move on to the meeting schedule.
Oh, wait, no.
Oh, sorry.
How did I forget the big thing? So,
Okay,
I'll have to finish on a bad note, I'm very sorry, but, yesterday, we worked from home last week because of the snow and the roads and all that. So, we went back to the office on Monday, and we had a pipe burst. So, it bursted, on like the second floor ceiling, and it was in the kitchen and in the basement. There's not much water left at all. It probably happened for 20 minutes before we were upstairs, and it was downstairs and we didn't hear it, So, but eventually we got it, turned off the water. So our office does not have water. So, I called the plumber. The plumber's coming out on Thursday. But that is going to be an upcoming issue / expense.
So
Is
I
that for
read,
your insurance though?
well, we should have insurance. I read
So we have liability insurance that covers us in case somebody falls and trips themselves, but we do not own that property, so we do not have property insurance. And
and I've
Rogers,
read the lease, and the lease says that the county is responsible for all the repairs of the Cunmore house.
so
And I know Barry had said last year that Rogers Group has always been very helpful in paying for large repairs.
right. So my first thing is I called the mayor, and the mayor is out of town, but he said is when he gets back that he is wanting to have a meeting with the Rogers Group to see if we can come to some kind of agreement on that. But we are responsible for the maintenance of the building as the lease goes.
That's
But
bizarre.
hopefully,
We meaning the tourism
So
board,
the
or
county-
we meaning Sumner County?
the county leases from the Rogers Group, and then we sublease from the county. So we are a subleasee of the house. And we pay $100 a year in rent, so that's probably, I mean, if we're.
Well, then how much does the county pay?
Nothing.
Well, the county gets it for free, and the tourism board pays $100.
Well, the lease for the county is $100, so the county pays $100,
Yeah.
but then we pay the county.
we pay it.
We pay it back.
Oh, it's just $100.
So we're just passing the Benjamin.
Okay.
So
Like that was,
You know.
I only saw $100 in that lease when I read it.
Yeah, so why would they cover maintenance costs for $1,200 a year? I mean, they're not gonna do that.
$100 a year.
Oh, $100 a year.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm thinking $100 a month. No, it's $100 a year. Yeah, so for $100 a year, why would they pay the maintenance costs and things like that? So, you know, I know we have money in reserves. We've always been conservative to consider that something could happen to the house. But repairs to that house, you know, it kind of offsets the cost of what it would cost to rent a facility these days. So,
Sure.
the pipes will hopefully be fixed on Thursday, but this is not looking like it's gonna be a easy job, I'll just say that.
You know, 'cause it's falling apart in there.
Y'all didn't go in the basement, did you? Did Servpro come out or somebody?
No, it wasn't enough water that it needed to be like, sucked up or
So it
anything.
hadn't been leaking for days,
No,
20
just
minutes.
when y'all
Probably
got-
20-30 minutes.
Oh, okay.
And,
All right.
and then we heard it and we cut the water off as soon, you know, I called Barry and Barry helped me turn the water off and the water is off. And towels have been down drying. We did turn the power off in the back of the house
Contact.
because it came through a light fixture, so we didn't want there to be any electrical issues to come in with that. But, you know, with water, you know, there's probably some things in the floor that are soaking up that water. I'm gonna try to get humidifiers going through there and heaters and things like that, but I mean, at this point, there's only so many things that can be done, unfortunately. Another thing, yeah, never mind. But it just, that happened, it was unfortunate. We dripped the faucets, you know, but sometimes those things happen in those cold temperatures, so, you know.
Will county maintenance help?
That's what I was gonna add. So the mayor sent county maintenance out there, but his suggestion was that you're gonna need to call a plumber and a contractor. I mean, that was kind of, the house is so old that it's gonna take somebody who knows how to navigate, or somebody that we worked for before, just because the pipes are old and, you know, it's an old facility, so, you know.
Not cheap.
It just depends. And once the mayor talks to the Rogers Group, maybe we'll be able to come to some kind of agreement. You know, that's not past us at all right now.
They, since they own it and the county is leasing it and you're leasing it, you're like a sublease. So the county, the Rogers owns it, so I would consider that they would have insurance on this house.
They are self-insured.
Okay.
And for $100 a year, there's not much incentive to spend a lot of money to repair things like that.
Yeah, they don't seem to care about that.
They've done a good job of keeping, when we've had issues with the roof and things like that, they've done roof repairs, but I don't know, actually, it's been for a while.
But, I mean, we just need the water to get back on because I can't send people to work without a bathroom.
Sure.
So, you know, once it happened, I sent everybody home. I said, take everything you need. They'll work from home. We have meetings and we'll probably meet outside of the office to, you know, just get together and talk. But, hopefully we can be back in Thursday, Friday. But, you know, we'll just have to get people in there and get bids and see what it's gonna cost and what really the damage was, because I can't tell looking at it. I don't, you know, that's not my
It's not your
area of
job.
expertise,
Right,
so.
absolutely.
But I did want you all to know that that could be an upcoming issue or a large expense, so.
All right, let's take a look at the meeting schedule. This is our regular every 2-month meeting. We want to go ahead and adopt this, and then the other ones can be decided later.
Yeah, there's one that we need to pick on, and that's Tuesday, March 19th. That is spring
Spring
break.
break.
So I offered 2 other dates in there that could possibly work as well.
I like the March 26th
Yeah,
because.
usually we've done the week after.
Yeah,
if we've had
because
to
we
change
have
it.
our commission meetings the 4th Tuesdays,
Mhm.
4th Mondays in January, February, and March. So March 26th would be if that's okay with y'all.
Yeah.
It might be warm that day.
Oh, that is,
Warm today.
It might be warmer
Yeah,
that day
that
than
is
it
Holy
is
Week,
Tuesday.
for those who, but Tuesday, there's not, I don't know, any churches doing
Oh,
it
yeah, because
Tuesday.
Ash Wednesday's the 27th, and Monday, Thursday's.
So that would be,
Yeah,
Thursday would be
Thursday.
Monday, Thursday, but yeah, Tuesday is not
Valentine's.
really anything on
Oh,
Holy
you're
Week,
right.
so.
What is that Wednesday before? I'm not Catholic, so I can't remember.
It's the 14th, it's Valentine's Day.
Well,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
Wednesday's
Wednesday is
Valentine's
Valentine's
Day.
Day.
What is that Wednesday?
So, yeah, I think March,
Monday.
yeah, it's not a religious holiday, so we should be okay on the 26th.
Right.
Yeah.
I wanted to mention to you guys too, the clerk had this on the website, it was the clerk or it was somebody else, but it was on the website for 5 instead of 4.
That's
why
why.
it was
why
Oh,
was it
okay.
5.
So, I saw that as well, but then whenever I saw this meeting, like on the
It was at 4
homepage,
o'clock on the
it said
homepage.
4
It was at-
o'clock
yeah,
on
it
the
was at 4 o'clock
homepage.
on the homepage.
I went
for
on
sure.
the
The
website.
tourism board page.
I don't, we send them our thing every single time, and our meetings are always historically at 4 o'clock, so I don't know, I did see that on the meeting schedule, but on the actual,
That's what I was
like,
going off of, that's why I
yeah,
was late.
but on the homepage with the, what is it called,
The front page, I
yeah,
call it, yeah.
what do you,
I
I'm
don't
like,
know.
what is that?
The page, it's the front page.
Yeah, the front page.
But within like
If it were a
the notification of the
newspaper,
meeting
it
or
would be the
notice,
front
the
page.
public notice of the meeting, it did say 4 o'clock,
But
so,
it's on the tourism page or on the county page?
on the county
On the
page.
county
Yeah,
page.
yeah.
Okay, I was looking at the calendar, that's how I,
Yeah.
my dates.
Yeah,
it was
So it was
on-
wrong on
it was
the
at the wrong time
calendar?
on the calendar.
It was on the calendar wrong, but then the notice was correct, so
It wasn't.
That's what we could do.
yeah, I mean, we're not, we don't have
I'm not
access
yet, I'm
to
just
that.
saying that's,
Yeah.
just, you know, like an IT thing.
Yeah, we should probably address it.
Yeah,
Just
it,
keep
it
public
seems to
minutes.
always
I
be
think
like
IT is
that, so.
responsible for that calendar,
Yeah.
the county IT department.
So speaking of, if we were gonna meet the alternate months, do y'all want to take December out of that? Do you have that much activity going on in December? Where you would need us all to get together and do,
But, yeah, I think December's fun, because people will be traveling and people will be gone, and, you know, that could be a hard time to do a meeting. So, we could take out December.
okay, so then that would just.
And Thursday, and in November, it looks like it's the week before Thanksgiving, so that should be a conflict at all.
Mhm.
So, any more changes to this every other month meeting schedule?
I think it's okay. September 17th is Constitution Day. I don't know if that's, I know,
Yeah,
the
there's
day the
nothing really that's done
Constitution
for
was
that day.
ratified of the United States.
That's right. Important.
All right, is there a motion to accept this schedule?
So moved.
And it can be changed, of course, if we have to, so if it comes up. So, there's been a motion, is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay. Any more discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Officer and board members. I have to leave in 5 minutes.
So,
Okay, because I've got a Zoom meeting.
So with
That's
the
6.
bylaws and the officers and board members, that kind of goes together, so I think we need to define what our bylaws are, because, you know, there have been a lot of confusions. I know that this is something that's been proposed several times, and this includes the resolution, what was in the resolution for the county, so I think that we need to review this and then we need to have something approved, and that this is our bylaws before we can set officers, because if we don't know, if we're going off so many different things, I think we need to have something very clear. This is what we do, this is what we are.
I would be willing to make a motion that we come back in February when all the new members have had an opportunity to
Yeah.
read this. And then we can do, and now that we've all had a meeting together, that we could do our bylaws and our officer elections in February.
Absolutely. That was I just wanted to put it on there so we
Yeah.
talked about
Oh,
it.
yeah.
But yeah, I think that it's important to, before we start doing officers, that we have bylaws that are clear that this is what we are.
Would that be at the March meeting, because there is no
I think we
February
should do it
meeting?
at we should have a special called meeting for February. Or not special call, but that could be part of that work study. Because once we've all done this, it shouldn't take, once we've had a chance to read the bylaws, it shouldn't take that long to do that. If you've got your sponsorship questions or any other work study type things.
So do we need to set that February date while we're here? Or do you want to throw that, or do you want to look at your calendar? And
Could I email you all by the end of this week?
That's fine.
Those
Yeah.
dates? Okay. Did we say a specific day that, okay.
I don't think you said anything.
We can keep it on third Thursday,
Tuesday.
or Tuesday. I'm sorry. Hey, snow days throw me off, sorry.
Maybe I'll
Oh,
try
do
to
we
keep it
keep
around.
it the Tuesday after commission, because you don't have planning on Tuesdays? Why don't we do it after commission that month? We're off the 12th, it's the 19th, it'll be the 27th, February 27th, and I'm making that date up.
Yeah, that's
So
right.
the
Okay.
Tuesday after commission always, or Tuesday?
Well, just for this one,
Oh, okay.
yeah,
What, okay.
because you're gonna give us a slate of dates.
Yeah,
for
I'll
March,
check our
March,
calendar
the April and going forward on
Yeah.
the even months,
Okay.
since we meet on the odd months.
Okay.
Or will it be later?
Is 4 o'clock okay for everybody?
Yeah, I have a regularly scheduled Zoom meeting with the board I'm chairman of, that evening at 6, so 4 is fine with me, for me.
And I think that we are able to have Zoom meetings if we need be, to do things virtually. I mean, if there are times where it's hard to get somewhere. or-
February, what did you say?
27th. that
27th.
Mhm.
At 4.
Okay, that's the fourth
Because commissioners
Tuesday.
have
I believe you
that
can
typically
do
have that
virtual
week,
meetings
2
since
weeks off
COVID emergencies
after.
ended. I'm not sure 100% on
Okay.
that, but.
I'm not sure either, but.
It is
I think-
currently illegal in the current standing bylaws.
Currently illegal,
Currently legal.
currently legal.
current-
School boards can have virtual,
Okay.
Yeah.
Understand.
and county commissions cannot.
But if
That's
we're
what I'm
all,
saying.
but if
Right,
we're
county
also
commissions
all
cannot.
coming to get
Well,
a,
and if it's a study session too, I think.
Yeah, if it's just a study
Yeah.
session.
Okay, I mean, just, something to look at.
Yeah, we would just have to look into that to see if that is a possibility.
But, in person is always preferable for
Well,
absolutely.
Absolutely, but I just speak for
I
the
get it.
ones that would be difficult or challenging.
Who's our next commission?
Be the fourth Monday in February,
Twenty-six.
because of President's Day.
Oh, yeah.
Any more business? All right, is there a motion to adjourn?
I did not get a
what-
second on.
I don't know, was that a motion to set it for that date?
Oh, no, we didn't do that.
Was that a
Oh, I'm
motion? or
sorry.
just a
I'll motion for
suggestion?
that.
You made a motion,
27th.
but I did not get a second.
oh,
Okay,
A motion
sorry.
for what?
To set
For
the
February.
February 27th date.
I don't have my calendar on me, but I was gonna check tomorrow, but we can do that. I'll clear my.
well, we'll
schedule.
send it tentatively,
Okay,
Tentatively set for the
Yeah.
27th.
and then you can like get back to us as soon as you can.
okay.
So do we need a motion for that?
I got a motion from Shannon,
Okay.
I got a second from.
I'll
Jennifer.
second if we need
Okay.
to.
So let's go ahead and vote on that. Is there, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Any more business?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right,
Second.
let's go. Time to get home and get my computer.
Get
I'll get my
going.
computer.
Didn't get your name.
I'm chairman of the board